first case study is from a top 5 bank. Their use case was file management, mostly raw cleanup. They had lots of data that they wanted to get rid of, and GDPR and CCPA compliance. They had over 200,000 employees and 3 petabytes of files. And their priority was minimizing risk cost effectively. So we recommended something called the least processing principle, or using big buckets. And what this is you go into your file share and you say, let's look at the things that are obviously trash, obviously wrong. Let's say there's a video that's been there for 2-3 decades. No one has watched it since it's been put in there. Or there are some pictures that has been there for 2-3 decades. No one has clicked it, right? Chances are this is not a data you need. This is a data you can delete. And since these file shares were unregulated file shares, our banking customer was not too afraid to do. Here's another way to look at it. Initially, you have 3 petabytes of unknown. You go in there, you say, first, let's look at the metadata. Let's bring our records manager. Let's bring our business users. Ask them, hey, where do you see the most records? Where do people put records into usually? And let's declare those as records. This is just the metadata level. At the next step, you go in a little deeper. You start looking at the content. This is where you will find PII and more specific types of records. Now, you'll always be left with this middle part, middle unknown part. And for them, we recommended a proactive retention policy. In this case, it was, hey, delete this data if it has not been used in the last 7 years. And since they're a banking client, they're used to 7-year retention settings, so they love it. Now, with full content management, one of the beautiful things you can do is you don't have to stop here, especially if you have a what we call in-depth processing, right? So you have a full text index, you're able to run all kinds of searches, you're able to look for all kinds of patterns. You can go in and say, hey, this middle part, it's still a little too much for us. We want to go in there and start looking for more specific types of route. We want to go in there and start looking for more specific types of records. And since you have the full content under your fingertips, you can do this anytime. And they were actually able to minimize this middle section. And they started with 3 petabytes of data. Right now, they have around 1.2 petabytes of data, and they hope to get rid of even more.